Good morning and welcome to Flat Earth United. Joining me this morning is Gary John, who's going to tell us all about the UK Conference 2018. Good morning, Gary. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, Nathan. And you? You good?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. I suppose first thing on the docket is to find out exactly what is the UK Conference 2018. So tell us all about it. What is it?
Well, basically, it's an opportunity for people to attend a 3-day session event in Birmingham. Started off life as being just a weekend, but it's grown to the Friday evening as well, because I was trying to allow more people to have access to the actual event as opposed to just people for the weekend. So it's 2 days, 2 full days, and a Friday evening.
And you say it's in Birmingham. Is it in a specific location or?
Yes, it's actually central Birmingham, Broad Street.
What's the name of the actual venue?
It's the Jury's Inn.
Sorry, you broke up. Can you say that once more?
The Jury's Inn.
The Jury's in Birmingham. In where did you say again? Sorry, it's. I've got your. I know you've got a cleaner knocking around in the background, so it keeps cutting out. Unfortunately.
Yeah, sorry. Somebody else in the where I am. It's the 27th, 28th, and 29th of April.
Yeah, and that's in the centre of Birmingham.
That's correct.
And it's you that's originally come up with this idea. It's you that's arranging it, and it's you that's now obviously doing this interview to tell the world about it. So, where did you come up with the idea? Why have you decided to do a conference in the UK?
It's actually, I don't know if this is a bizarre answer, but all I can do is to tell you how it is. Basically, I was watching one of Darren's hangouts, or not hangouts, is where he goes through emails that where he gets emails from people and he's answering them and talking about it. I think it's on I think it's his Raw channel, and I was watching that and or listening to it, and he was just saying to somebody that he isn't going to the July conference, and I thought, because I can't get to America, it's not easy, and it's not cheap to get to the States. I thought, if there's a chance it could possibly be in Europe or something. So I thought I'd look it up and find that I came across the European conference that had, among others, they had London as one of their venues. And I thought, fantastic. If there's one in London, then I want to go to London because it's like on my doorstep. I then contacted the administrator for the conference, and to find out that there wasn't actually a conference taking place in London. It's a wish list. So you had different locations in Europe, but London was a nice idea, but had nothing in place. So we had with Karen Pettit, I had a 20-minute phone call with him to try and find out what could he do to support us having one in England. I then decided, or not decided, in talking to Franz Heslinger, I went to hotels in Birmingham because it makes sense to be in the actual central part of the country, and try to find out what would be the type of costs that we'd be looking at. The issue I had is obviously how many people, when, and who would speak at this thing. So it started off with just literally a random idea that went from listening to Darren to going to Franz Heslinger to doing a bit of research, and it all took off from there about 8 weeks ago.
And who's going to be in attendance?
Well, basically, we have Mark Sargent, John the Morgile, we have Oliver Ibáñez Ludlow, Darren Nesbit, Dale from Emergency Curve, Martin Liedtke from Flat Earth British, Dave Marsh, and a chap called Sean Connors, which I don't think many people have heard of him, and allegedly Dave. I think that's it.
It's a bloody good lineup. I mean, you can't knock that in terms of Flat Earth superstars.
Well, to be fair, what happened is that because of I'm involved with Sun and Moon, I spoke to Karen Pettit and explained to her what I wanted to do.
Well, and just tell the audience exactly what
she would.
Tell the audience exactly what Sun and Moon Group is, because there's now 2 variations of the Sun and Moon. The one that I know on YouTube and the one that was the original. So if you can just tell the audience exactly what that is.
Yeah, I think, yeah, Sun and Moon. I'm probably not the best person to explain this, because it's Karen's group, but it's basically a research group, and it used to be Sun and Moon research carried out by I think normal people. I think it's classed as, but that's now evolved, I think, to just being called Sun and Moon, and it's where different people are linked to the actual. That actually carry out research, and there's a lot of hangouts that take place within that.
That was originally a Facebook group and is now sort of evolved. They've now started having the discussions actually on YouTube Live, so people can sort of take part.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in Flat Earth for 2 years, and I've only been active in one way or another for 6 months. And one of the groups I joined was Sun and Moon. And so everything is really all quite still new for me, because for 18 months, I just literally researched on YouTube, but I was researching on my own with no real input from anyone else. Because on my Facebook, because a lot of my friends and family are not really into Flat Earth, I didn't want to be in their face. So I really didn't actively get involved apart from just looking at YouTube. So everything for me has all happened in the last 6 months. And one of the groups was Sun and Moon.
What have you expressly got out of that group?
It's basically, it's literally being able to do the hangouts where you can talk to fellow flat earthers and you can debate different subjects. But the main thing, I think, even though that was very, very instrumental to get me to where I am now, but I think it's the link to talking to the likes of Darren, Nesbit and Dave and Mark Sargent and whatever to get to the point where, yes, I could do a venue, I could put on a conference, but it's no good without the speakers. So part is obviously having access to the speakers.
And what can people actually expect? So they come to Birmingham 2018. What will they actually be confronted with? What will they be doing as their day rolls on?
Well, it's actually split up in. It's a good question actually, because it's split up into 3 sections. I basically class it as 5 modules. On the Friday evening, which is the thing that I've actually put in over the last few weeks. It's going to be split into 3, where it's going to start off with there's going to be an open mic session for people who want to actually stand up and talk about what their experiences are in Flat Earth, their good and bad things they've come up with. There's going to be another section where people can talk to the likes of Mark Sargent and any other speakers that turn up. And I haven't really gone down the road of actually engaging with the speakers at this moment for the Friday evening, because it's early doors. But Mark Sargent is definitely going to be there, and I'm sure there'd be about 3 or 4 other speakers. So that's going to be an opportunity for flat earthers who don't normally engage with these people face to face. And the third section, and this is something I'm really looking forward to as well, is it's going to be an area concentrating on people who have either done experiments or want to do an experiment, or they want to brainstorm about ideas they have, and where normally people have to do it themselves in either very small groups or they literally chat with, say, a friend or 2. This is where a whole room full of people will be able to engage and discuss the experiments that have happened or could happen, or people that maybe they could all join together and join forces. And it's an evening, Nathan, where it's not hard and fast. It's not going to be the whole evening's only split up into 3 equal sections. It will develop based on the people that are in the room. Really, it will be a flexible, movable feast.
And what's the actual, when I say what's the format, I mean, is there going to be rows of seating with like a podium at the end, and then someone like Mark would get up and speak to an audience, or will it be kind of more informal where there's people mingling around and the speakers just sat chatting to people freely? Or, I mean, I understand a bit about the round table. That sounds fantastic. People who want to discuss their experiments and converse with us about experiments that have perhaps been done in the past. That presumably will be in a conference format. But I'm trying to visualise how I get there with my ticket, and then I go, all right, I really want to see Mark Sargent. How does that actually unfold?
Sure. Yeah, it's a good point. Basically, what will happen is, because Friday is an unknown, I don't know numbers, that will the numbers will dictate how we do it. But if we, for instance, had 60 people that turn up, then we can do that into a very more informal approach, where maybe we just literally have, like you said about the round table, it could just literally be that. If it ends up being that we get, say, 180 people, then we'd have to have it a little bit more structured, where it would be, like you say, rows of seats. And that's basically what we're doing for the Saturday and the Sunday, because there's going to be a full, well, I'm assuming that everyone's going to the tickets will actually sell out. Then there'll be about 270 people in the room at the weekend. But the Friday night, I have no idea. So I think that's a movable feast. I will decide how to play it in talking to the hotel and what they can and can't provide me. I've got different room sizes depending on how many people actually sign up for a ticket, because this is in addition to the weekend ticket, you see. This is to actually allow people who can't afford the weekend or can't make the weekend because they're working to possibly be involved with the conference on the Friday evening. And so the Friday is totally different to the other days, because that's just how it's all developed and it's all grown.
Just go through the dates again. So that's Friday the what?
The 27th, the 28th, and the 29th of April.
Sorry? April. So Friday the 27th, Saturday the 28th, and Sunday the 29th of April. Is that right?
That's right. That's correct. Yeah. And to continue your answering your question, is on the Saturday there's going to be again, I'm assuming that there's going to be a room full of people. There will be. I'm trying to remember this now. There's 32 seats per row, and there's 9 rows, so that will be about 260 people. There's going to be a central staging area, and I've got to decide if it's going to be 1 or 2, and if the one stage is going to be a fixed mic, or if it's going to be 2 stages together, so the speakers can move around a little bit. Because unfortunately, there's pillars within the room that I only found out the other day. That means that it's a little bit of an obstacle course on a few bits. So I really want to try and make it as user-friendly as possible. But I have also got 4 projector screens. So there's never going to be a moment where the person can't see what's going on, because they'll either see it live, as in the person, or they'll see it through a projector screen.
The question that immediately goes through my mind is, when you've got the international conference going ahead, you've got effectively another international conference here in the UK because of people like John the Morgall and Mark Sargent. I mean, obviously with people like Darren Nesbit and Dell Beyond the Imaginary Curve, that makes sense that you would have them, you'd get in touch. But how have you managed to land Mark Sargent and John the Morgall? I mean, that's so awesome.
Well, this is actually, I think this is actually quite a, I don't know if it's a funny story to other people, but it's actually funny to me. Again, through Karen's Sun and Moon group, I was talking to Mark, and because of the November conference, I was asking Mark, would he mind making a 5-minute video for our conference? And then off the back of that, I was going to ask him if he could maybe in November talk to like Brian Mullin and Robbie Davison and like Rob Skiber, and could they may put their hands up and say, "Hi, UK conference," and then hold that, keep it for the April to show people this 5 whatever it became. And halfway through me asking the question, would he make a video? He then said, "Well, if you like, I'll come over and speak." And of course, my chin at the floor, because we went from asking a question about would he help with something for 5 minutes that became he's coming over. To answer the question about John the Morgall, again, another hangout with Karen, we were talking to him, and Karen's been very, very massive in promoting the conference because she's right behind it. And we were talking to John the Morgall, and he basically said, he was like asking me, is there any chance you could take part? And I was, at the time, because the budgets are very tight, and I've got the hotel to pay for, and I've got the video, the website, and other expenses that people just do not realize how much it costs. I was actually trying to find a way that I could actually have in there. And for 24 hours, I was debating with John the cost of it, and can I do it? And then all of a sudden, I had an epiphany, thinking, what am I doing? I can't not have John the Morgall turn up at our event if he's willing to come over. So I just literally stripped everything down and thought, well, I have to find a way. I have to make it happen, because it's too important to have the likes of John there, really. So so they're both different in the ways that they came about being involved with the conference.
Absolutely awesome. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic event. I'm really, really excited for it. I mean, I mean, you've said you've maybe put in on the docket as, I don't know, some sort of organizer or something. I won't be speaking there necessarily, but I'll certainly be in attendance. You know, if necessary, I'll buy a ticket. But I'm very, very excited. I really wanted to go to the one in America.
Yeah.
Have you been in touch with Celebrate Truth, Robbie Davidson, about this?
Yes, yeah, I must admit that's all because of Patricia Steer. So thank you to her, because obviously there's going to be lots of things that Robbie has experienced in actually doing this. I actually wanted to actually find out a little bit more about what was going on. So I actually, because of Patricia knew that I obviously not needed help, but it'd be useful to have help. I actually went to. Patricia actually gave me the link to Robbie, and Robbie contacted me, and we had a decent chat to actually go through what I've experienced, and he was telling me about what he's experienced. And what we've agreed is that we're actually going to support each other, because we both know that even though we're doing the conference in a slightly different way to each other, there's a lot of similarities. So we actually have decided, keeping in touch on a regular basis, to update each other on what we're finding. And he has actually pointed out a few things that he's experienced that I have since found is very useful for me, because it's things I haven't thought about. And the same thing back to front, I will probably come up with ideas that Robbie would like to consider, if not for this one, but maybe for the second one that they put on.
Well, that's led me quite nicely. So do you think this will be an ongoing thing? It'll presumably, at the moment, it's just planned as being a one-off, but hopefully, based on the success, I mean, I don't want to lead you too much.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, Nathan, because I'm pulled between two things. The first one is I'm already thinking about having a second conference, and where would it be, and how big would it be? Would it be a marquee? Would it be a massive grounds where we can have tents and camping and whatever? Or do we go for a venue that can maybe take at least 1,000 people? Because I honestly do believe that if we do this first one and we do it well, and with the North Carolina event being really successful, and also, as you know, that the actual whole community is growing exponentially, that to have 1,000 people, for instance, on the next one wouldn't be a silly figure, and it may even not be enough. However, I also feel that because it is growing exponentially, that are we going to get to this point that it goes mainstream? And the format that we're trying to do now is going to be redundant, because we need to go down a completely different path. And it'll almost be a transition from, instead of it being trying to get people to understand flat Earth, it'll actually be understanding the lie that they've been told that have now been proved. So it could be that there will be a second event. I'm sure there'll be a third and fourth, but it could be a totally different concept depending on how it gets out there. And it could be that in 5 years' time we're still talking about it and it's still in its infancy. I don't know, but I've got my eyes open, and it could be any one of those things. It could be carrying on what we're doing, or it could be evolving.
So, sorry, just to clarify, are you saying that based on the way that the movement, the flat Earth movement, in air quotes, is progressing, it might reach the point where people just need to have the globe deception broken down for them only? Is that what you're saying? Sorry, I'm not quite following you.
It's more to do with the fact that I'm not just assuming that it's just literally going to be, oh, we need to put on another conference the following year, or maybe do we have 2 a year, or do we have, for instance, one up in Scotland, one in Manchester, one in Birmingham, one in London, and we do like one every 3 months. So there's, every 3 months we have a conference or something. What I'm basically saying is that because it seems to be growing exponentially, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually gets to the point that eventually it breaks in mainstream, and it's almost like it'd be almost like you're talking to somebody and they don't know that the Earth is flat, or they are not at least aware of that people are believing it's flat, as opposed to now where you can talk to, if you go up to 10 people in the street, 9 of them wouldn't have heard of it, 1 of them has, and of that one person, only 50% of those will believe, or maybe even 10% of those one would believe in it. So basically 1,000 people, you'd only get 10 people that believe in it, another 90 have heard of it, and 900 haven't. Whereas I think that's going to change, that ratio is going to change as we go along. And like by the time that we get to the conference next year, is it going to be that where now it's like, I don't know, say 3% of the population are aware of it but don't believe it? Is that going to just keep growing and growing and growing? And I think the answer is it's got to be, it's going to be yes, isn't it, really? Because, with all the billboards that have gone up and we're in the Denver Post and the conferences are obviously going to make a difference, then it's not going to get smaller.
No, I think you're completely right. It's only growing. I don't know about exponentially, but certainly the press involvement with the American International Conference has been quite phenomenal. I mean, you've got Patricia and Mark being followed around by a film crew, and I got in touch with, after doing the Vice thing, by somebody at the BBC who was asking if I was going to be going there so they could follow me around. And I was like, well, unfortunately, no. But obviously, I plugged the 2018 conference and explained when that was coming up, and the Leamington Spa meet, which was a bit too short notice for that particular person. But it seems to be the case that, how did he phrase it? He said he did not want to pour scorn on the ideas of Flat Earth. And it seems to be, at least in my view, the case that people are moving beyond the ridicule now. People are a bit more open-minded to it. I want to get into the subject a bit more after, but before we do, let's keep focus for the first bit of this show, just so people are kept on track with the 2018 conference. So, should somebody want to attend the conference, what would be their next step? What would they do?
Well, within the next week, and I must admit it's a bit frustrating because there's a lot of groundwork that I've had to put in with the web developers actually getting the website finalized. But what will happen is that within the website, people are going to have, I think it's about 5 or 6 options on what they can do. And basically through PayPal, which is a cost that I wasn't anticipating, but it is the way it is, they can order. Basically, they can order up to 2 tickets, and the 2 tickets will be the original weekend, will be the Saturday and Sunday, and in addition to that, they can also purchase a ticket for the Friday evening, because I'm keeping it separate. Because one, I need to know numbers, and two, it's to allow people the ability to so, for instance, you've got somebody who works a Saturday, they could buy a Friday ticket, the evening, and they can buy a Sunday ticket, because again they're not available. Or if they, for instance, can't afford the weekend, or they can afford the weekend but they can't afford to stay, they may just want to cherry pick. So what I have is, of the 250 tickets, I've allocated 30 for the Saturday and 30 for the Sunday, which I don't know if it's the right figure, but it's a figure that I've had to come up with, where people can just literally cherry pick and buy a single day ticket. And the Friday again is different again, because the other thing is the weekend, the ticket includes a buffet lunch and teas and coffees throughout the day. So there'll be on registration straight leading up to 10:30 on the Saturday, there'll be a lunch, and there'll be in the afternoon. And that is something that I've chosen to actually put together as a package. I could have gone down different routes, but I had to choose something. And the other thing is, if people had to go and queue up at the bar to get food or drinks or whatever, they'd be paying a stupid amount of money. So this way, they've got like a set budget and they know exactly what they'll be paying. It doesn't cover, obviously, the evening or lodge, overnight stay. But so what will happen, to answer your question, it will be through the website, they will have access to tickets buying through PayPal.
What is that website called?
It's actually it's www.flatearthuk.com, and that's all going to be released in next week, and people will then have full access to the actual website. They'll obviously have a breakdown of everything that includes. They're also going to have access to Facebook, where I will be doing regular updates, and we're going to do a Twitter account so people can keep in touch, and basically. If people buy a ticket, they will have more access to more information, because the people that aren't going don't really need to know the nitty-gritty. The people who are going, obviously, they're the ones that I need to liaise with and keep them up to speed with what's going on.
Sure. Just to be clear, though, the website's
flatearthconferenceuk.com.
So it's www.flatearthconferenceuk.com.
Yeah. I believe so. I must admit, you've caught me on the hop there. I've actually, I don't know if I've actually written it down, because it's basically what happened, Nathan, is when I was talking to the web developers on this about a month ago, I've been so busy talking to the speakers about what they're going to be doing, and obviously that working with the hotel, I may actually not have that 100% right. So I do apologise to everyone that, but it will be. Actually, I think it's actually .co.uk. Actually, come to think of it,
It's
not .com.
www.flatearthconference.co.uk.
That's it. Yeah.
Well,
I'm 99% certain that's the case.
I'll put a link in the info box once it's confirmed and updated, and then I'll comment.
I will send you the link when I've got the link myself from the web developers. But so forgive me on that one.
No, that's absolutely fine. So, what about? Should I go into the negative bits of this slightly? I think I will. So, I assume you've had some naysayers, some detractors. What's been the negative so far?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, because I honestly thought, when I spoke to Karen about this, because to begin with, obviously I didn't know where to go with this. I didn't know, again, like I said to you earlier, I didn't know about the dates. I didn't know about the numbers. I didn't know the venue. There's so many things. And what happened is I honestly thought, and I'd spoken to Karen and a few other people, that globeheads were absolutely going to come out of the woodwork and rip me to bits and just literally just start knocking the whole thing. But what I didn't realize, and this is the thing that really shocked me, and it does frustrate me, I must admit, with the Flat Earth, is that it wasn't the people in front of me that I had to worry about. It was the people behind me. I'd contacted about 30 people that were, if they were literally one of three things: they had to be breathing, they had to be in the UK, and they had to be a flat earther. And if they had those three things, so they were alive, then I would contact them and say, "Hi, you don't know me, but I would like to talk to you about something." And the reason why I did this is because I was in talking to people that were not just my friends and saying yes or no on that. I was actually doing it on purpose. So I was basically doing research. So as I was learning about the hotels and the venues and the speakers and everything else, I was liaising with people that I didn't know, but they were flat earthers and they were in the UK. And one or two of them then decided that, when I then wrote to them at the end and said, "Look, here's the landing page. This is basically the latest position," one of them actually went on to one of the Flat Earth groups and absolutely was starting to almost not call me a scammer, but they were saying, "Why is this person not put it out to the mainstream? Why is it he's only messaging the individuals?" And the reason why is because I was waiting for the administrators of these websites, these Facebook groups, to give me permission to, they gave me their okay that I could release it on their site, because I can't just assume that I can do this. So I got knocked for that. And then all of a sudden, another person who we've actually become good friends, actually, this lady in Claire in Australia, she absolutely ripped me to bits to say that, "How dare you charge for a conference, truth is free," and there's a lot of expletives in there, and some of them really, really bad. And I was shocked, because this woman didn't have a clue what I was doing. She didn't have a clue how I've got to where I am and the cost. So I ended up asking if I could speak to her. And now she's actually coming from Australia to, well, this is what she said. If it happens or not is another thing. But she's actually now coming to the conference. And I've also had a couple of people that are, one person that's actually well known that
just decided to say, wow, what a turnaround. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's gone from her thinking, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're charging," to, "Oh my God, I need to be there," because I explained to her obviously what the format was. And at the time, the format was actually a lot less happening than it is now. I mean, what's happening now is actually quite incredible in comparison. But like I said, going back to what I was saying about this well-known person, is that they basically were trying to almost pick a fight, and they went onto my timeline and they were picking on, "What's this thing? It's a load of rubbish, and come on, prove yourself." And I'm thinking, I don't have to prove anything to you. And they just literally were attacking me and making assumptions, and made a video on it. And it was a shame, because it wasn't necessary. To be fair, I have to say thank you to this person, because it didn't do me any harm. It didn't do the conference any harm. And And I'm sure one day we'll be friends or we'll be trying to laugh about it. But it was, there's been a lot of people that have attacked me. But the thing is, though, Nathan, I have no problem with people attacking me based on the facts. What I don't like is people attacking me not based on the facts. So they've assumed, and they've just, look, for instance, I've got a few people on Facebook have said, surely truth is free. Well, it is, but the hotel don't know that. The people who are doing the website don't know that. The people who are providing all the audio and the webinar that I want to put on, they don't know that. So unfortunately, if you want to have, like Laura Brooker does a fantastic job with Fookers, she goes to campsites, she puts on experiments, and she does an incredible job. And that suits a particular person who maybe, that loves that type of environment. Other people want to be in the dry. They want to have something that's organised. I'm not saying Laura's isn't, because she does an incredible job, but it's a different event. It's basically like the equivalent of driving from London to Scotland. And instead of going in a taxi, you're going on a train, or you're going on a bus, or you're going to fly. All it is, every single one is getting to the same destination, but you're doing it in a different way. And people like Laura is doing an incredible job. The people like Karen is doing an incredible job. All I'm doing is saying, do you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing these speakers. How do I go about it? Oh, you know what? I'll put on a conference. So it's not that I wanted to put on a conference. I wanted to go to a conference. And this is how I've managed to go about doing it. So it's not, I have this need, and I need to do a conference. No. What I want to do is go to a conference.
Yeah, I felt exactly the same way when I first heard about it, admittedly through a detractor. So, as you say, there's no such thing as bad publicity, and I'm a testament to this, because if it wasn't for that particular detractor, who won't get a mention, I wouldn't have heard about the conference. So, Karen essentially was defending Sun and Moon Group against that detractor, and I was like, wow, conference, really want to go, yes please, I'll have some of that. So fantastic. Why do you think it is? I mean, is it just because it's got the term flat earth attached to the conference that it's getting so much ridicule and hate? I know people like IPS, I don't know if you've been following what he does, he's actually being very proactive, and he gets a bucket load of ridicule for it. And from what you've just said, it sounds like you're in exactly the same position. Why do you think it happens that way?
I think, to be fair, the amount of ridicule is only very small. It's not like, I don't know, if you had to put a percentage on it, it's like 16% of the people that are involved are knocking it. It's not that at all. It's actually a very small number. I think a lot of it is down to, because of the things with people with shills and trolls, and there's a lot of mistrust, which I can understand that. There's a lot of mistrust with the flat earth, and because the whole subject matter is emotive, I think what's happened is people have I don't know, it's almost like they assume that something's bad or dodgy, then assume that it's good, and the way that, and because of that, and it's my character anyway. And to be fair, I've had some long conversation with Dell from the Imaginary Curve, and he's very, very keen on the integrity of this. Has to be top notch, and I absolutely love the guy, because he thinks exactly like me, that I want it to be transparent. I'm actually putting onto the website exactly, not every single penny, but I'm basically putting down an overview of how the money's been spent. So basically what type of turnover I'm expecting, what type of cost there's going to be, and where the cost is being spent, because I don't want people to think, hold a minute, this guy's just trying to make money. Because any money made, there's only two things about this. There's one, if it loses money, this is coming out of my pocket, and I haven't got a lot of money, so I don't want it to lose. Two, if it makes money, it means I can put on a slightly better event, or if there's a little bit more money left over, because you can't pitch it 100%, 100% out, 100% in, it doesn't work. That will go into either a future event or to help experiments go on. So nobody's going to take a penny out of this for self-gain. But a lot of people don't believe that, or they don't understand it, or they just assume that it's just literally a money-making opportunity. And there's a lot of skepticism. So what I'm doing within the website, I'm making sure that it's tailored towards transparency.
I don't get it, though. I mean, we had this conversation a month ago, and my attitude was, why the hell shouldn't you make money? You're doing an absolute bucket load of work, and I don't see any reason why it shouldn't. It just seems crazy that we're in a community where if you have even the slightest hint of profit coming your way, you're going to get completely bashed. And what was the figure you put on it? 16% of the community coming after you with pitchforks and torches, saying, you can't make money off this, it's the truth. And as you said earlier, you can't pay for a hotel with truth. You can't pay for a hotel with pixie dust and dreams. That's not what they will accept as tender. Unfortunately, they want cash. And that's how you put these things on. It requires cash. But to require cash means that somebody somewhere is going to make a profit. The hotel is going to take a profit. Some soulless corporate, I don't doubt. I'm sure they're very nice people who work there. But you know what I mean? It's somebody somewhere is going to make a profit. The fact that we have Flat Earth in our titles doesn't mean that we shouldn't be making a profit. I think it's ludicrous. But that's my opinion. I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate for it in the comments.
I hear what you're saying, Nathan. Basically, I'm not... Getting back to what I said 5 minutes ago, my goal is to go to a conference, and if there happens to be that the only way it's going to happen is I put it on, then I will do it. I mean, I've got enough gumption about me, and obviously the thick skin has to be quite thick, because a lot of people, especially when the website comes out, they're going to, whatever you do is, the thing that I've actually said to people is this: of the 100% of the people that will look at something, you'll have 10% that will almost worship the ground you walk on and think, oh my God, this is brilliant, I can't believe it, it's just so wonderful, I can't wait. You'll have another 10% at the other end of the scale that will automatically attack it. Like, for instance, I've known, like Karen, and you have probably done it, where you put out a YouTube video and it's an hour long, and within 2 seconds of it going out, it's already got a dislike, and they clearly haven't watched it. And I just feel that it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You could be a golfer, you could be a footballer, you could be a flat earther, you could be anything. People have a problem with it, no matter what you do. You never please all the people all the time. Getting back to the actual money, I'm not interested in trying to make a profit. Well, I've got to cover the costs. And yeah, I hear what you're saying about it, but I'm not trying to make the price of a ticket, say, £5 dearer. Oh no, that will feather my nest. No, all I want to do is make sure we cover the cost. But to do that is a very fine balancing act, and it's difficult. So any money that's left over will be used in a constructive way towards either helping the likes of, like, for instance, I was saying Laura Brooker, it hasn't quite gone that way. But one thing I would like to do is, say, for instance, they have a lot of people that turn up at events and they wanted to, book a campsite, but a lot of people couldn't afford it. And I was saying, well, wait a minute, the event has made some money. Or say, for instance, they're buying a balloon or they need to do something, then it'd be quite nice if the legacy from the conference would be to help support experiments, like somebody wants to do a vacuum test or something. But because of the conference, I think, is going to grow to something quite incredible in the future, that probably isn't going to be the case. It's probably going to be more to do with the fact that if I've got... See, the other thing is, though, Nathan, I've had to do a lot of homework with a lot of people to try and get certain parts covered, and I haven't gone to the right people, or I haven't gone to the right people quickly. People are going to come to me that say, I can do this, I can do the audio, I can do the video, I can do the webinar, I can provide you with a location where we've got a campsite because we want to go down that route. So a lot of people are going to come to me in the future to make the event second time round so much easier. And I think a lot of people are going to accept it a lot more the second time round, because they don't know me, they don't know if I'm genuine, they don't know if what I'm offering is a sound package, but they will do after the event.
Yeah, it's one. I'm not going to use this promotional show to harp on too much about this particular subject, but the one thing I will say is that if you've got other people who are in business and they look at the subject of Flat Earth and see that it's a kind of not-for-profit movement, it will turn them off. People are interested in making money, and there's going to be the parasites who are outside of Flat Earth, and they are parasites, who will look at it for the sole intention of, can this make me money or not? And then I'm not going to phrase it in such a way that makes people think that those individuals, be they marketeers or whatever, advertisers or whoever, that they are not useful just because they're parasitical. They are useful. They will definitely broaden our message. Again, I've mentioned him already, but IPS is talking about the mainstream media in terms of seizing their microphones. And in this instance, we're creating the microphone, or you. I don't want to put too much of a we label on it. It's your hard work. But, you're creating this platform, you're creating this stage, and you're handing the microphone to people who've got a very clear message to give people. And that will prick people's ears up. It will get attention. And it just concerns me. I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but obviously we will move on from the subject. But
honestly, feel free to ask anything you want, Nathan. I've got nothing to hide.
Say again, sorry.
I've got nothing to hide. I'm more than happy to be open about everything. So you feel you want to ask it, you ask.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But I mean, again, in most businesses, unless it was the tax man snooping around, if someone came along and said, how does this, how are you conducting yourself in this regard? It'd be sod off, mind your own bloody business. You know, if you want a ticket, come and ask. But beyond that, you know, if you want to come to the show, that's it. I mean, I'm just thinking back to when I used to do hi-fi, and the event organisers who I used to deal with for those particular shows. They were absolutely solely in it for the profit. Yeah, they were very, very much hi-fi enthusiasts, but it was their job. You know, they were doing it to make a living and pay their bills. And from 2 years ago, we had Dan Pratt talking about got to pay the bills, and it really left a dent in some people in the Flat Earth community's cognition. You know, they really have been brainwashed as a result of this into thinking that it's a not-for-profit organisation, and it's like, well, why not? I'm running ads. I'd love this to be my full-time job. You know, I would love to be able to do this. And you're talking about having conferences. You know, I know it's very much pie in the sky at the moment, but if it did get to the point 2-3 years time where you were having 3-4 conferences a year at various different locations up and down the country, that would be your job. You know, it would be such a huge amount of work.
Yeah.
I mean, you would expect to be paid for that. You know, I would expect you to be paid for that. And in the conversation we had last time, that was one of the first things I said. You are going to take a pay for this, aren't you? And your answer was, well, no. You know, I'm going to pay and cover my costs. It's like, wow, you know, very good for you, very generous of you to everybody who's going to be in attendance. And it is just that. It's your generosity and your hard work. You know, and as you say, you may end up at the end out of pocket if it's not as successful as you would hope. I doubt that'll be the case, but yeah. If we can move on.
I'm working long and hard. But yeah, carry on. Sorry.
I was just going to say, let's move off the topic of costs and finances, because it's a dirty business. Flat Earth, on the other hand, is a much more exciting and interesting topic to get into. And you and I haven't really had this conversation yet, which is, how did you actually get into the subject of Flat Earth? How did you find out the Earth is flat?
Mark Sargent. I was looking at a video in August 2015, and basically I don't know what I was looking at. I don't know if I was looking at 9/11 or I was looking at other conspiracies. I don't know. I'd like to know, because I'd like to see how the journey is unfolded. But basically, I was just looking through, saw this dome type thing, and it said 2 hours 3 minutes. I thought, what's this? Have a look. And as soon as I started watching it, within seconds, I was transfixed. It's almost like I was in an outer body moment, outer body experience. And as I was watching it, I actually felt, rightly or wrongly, I actually felt at that moment I was watching something that was going to change my life, as in, it's going to turn everything upside down. And I got to the end of the 2 hours 3 minutes, chin on the floor, and I just thought, oh my, I just hope this is true, because it feels so right. And I remember Patricia Steer said on one of our hangouts to somebody that it felt right. And I absolutely resonated with that, because I was exactly the same. And I then went away and started looking at other YouTube clips, really hoping that it could be reinforced. And of course, there were the negatives, and there's the thing about talking about the globe, like Vsauce and other people. But everything I came across in those early days, and for the first week, I literally didn't sleep much, and I didn't really get much work done, because I was so hooked. And it's all to do with Mark Sargent's video. So yeah, and I've been a flat earther ever since. Even though I would say that for the first couple of weeks, I spoke to a few people, and I spoke to somebody who works with me. And they went home, spoke to their wife, came back the next day, and it's almost like I just killed his cat, because he had so much venom and so much anger that it made me quite vulnerable, because I didn't have the strength of conviction to actually fight through any backlash, because I wasn't strong enough. I didn't know enough. But basically, my getting into the flat Earth all happened next month. It'll be 2 years.
Awesome. So from here, have you got experiments in? Oh no, obviously the conference is a big deal, and it's a big enough thing to be on your plate. But you mentioned experiments and experimentation around the round table. Was that something that you wanted to get involved with, or?
If be or not, the answer is yes to that. I mean, one of the things I'd like to do is, like, if we look, for instance, like the parallax with like Orion's belt, and the distances between, if you look at Orion's belt is on its own, the three stars that make up the belt, if you literally went onto a massive field and you actually looked at where they are in relation to each other, and then you literally are standing at a point and you move and you see the difference. It's because one of the things I think, Nathan, is that a lot of people are, if they're flat Earth, they believe in the flat Earth, and they obviously certain things they believe in more than others. But it's trying to do an experiment that actually can show somebody who's a globalist that this is something that can't be knocked. It's something that they can actually see the actual evidence, and it makes it in a form that they can take on board. And so instead of us saying, oh yeah, it's 8 inches the first mile and it's squared after that, that's great. But when the globe person is looking at it, and it's like you've just completely confused them. So it's basically trying to come up with experiments where it's that transition from what we understand to what they accept, and it's doing the thing in between. And there's other experiments I would like to do. Like, for instance, another one is where you have boats on the sea where you have them slightly staggered, and you're having like every 2 miles. And then you have P900 on each boat, and you have lasers, and you have lighting, and basically instead of just having one boat or 2 boats, I would like to have several boats that are in different positions to each other. And there's a few other experiments I can't actually think of at this moment that I've got in my head that I want to bring up at the conference. And again, getting back to the conference on the experiments, I don't know the interest from people. I don't know what's going to happen. But the way I look at it, if there's 120 people there on a Friday evening, there's going to be a lot of talents and a lot of knowledge in that room, that if a person's, I've spoken to a few people that are turning up at the event, and they've talked about their experiments, and they're just simple but so brilliant. And what's going to happen, it's not just the conference that's important here, it's the legacy that's going to come from the conference, the people that are going to network together afterwards, either leading up to it or post conference. And I think experiments is going to be a really, really big thing that's going to come out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with a lot of these experiments, you do need to have a certain amount of interaction with people to throw the ideas around. And it's only when you properly press the flesh, you're actually in each other's company, that those ideas tend to manifest. It's all well and good doing these hangouts, but it just doesn't seem to have the same sort of magic as being in someone else's company. The same goes for people who might troll, and this goes for flat earthers and globe heads, people who actually think you're fake or an agent or whatever. They have a very different attitude when they've actually met you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that lady I was saying to you, like in Australia, that was absolutely attacking me, and it wasn't just subtle. It was really expletive, and it was quite nasty. And her post was taken down by the website, by the Facebook group. And I was a little bit disappointed, because I wanted to engage with her, because I wanted the world to see, because I've got nothing to hide. And when I then spoke to her, and I've spoken to other people, like I had one conversation with a gentleman that was saying, I think the ticket price is going to scare off my friends. And I said, could I ring you? And I explained to him what the event was going to be about. And this was the event a month ago, where since then it's evolved quite rapidly. And he's got so excited about what I was explaining to him that he said, right, that's it, I'm in, and so are my friends. And I went, oh, sorry, I thought you said your friends are not in. Because trust me, I will make sure they're there. Because he was so excited about what I'd said. Because I'm not an expert. I'm not this wonderful person. All I am is a conduit between the hotel, the speakers, the web developers, and the people who want to go. And I'm just a person in the middle trying to bring it all together. That's all I am.
He said, what specifically was it that was the clincher? What convinced him?
I think it was my enthusiasm, actually. I know that sounds a bit blasé and it sounds, bad, but
not at all.
People got so excited.
Absolutely.
So excited about what I was saying.
Yeah, no, passion is infectious. I can totally get it. I picked up on it the first time we chatted on Skype. It is infectious. You can tell when somebody's really keen to do this stuff, and you are one of those people. I'd like to think I'm one of those people. I'm keen and excitable, and people pick up on it.
I think you're right. And basically what happened is, what I use the word selling. I wasn't selling the idea. I was selling the idea, but what I'm trying to get away from using the word selling. But it was just literally, I just explained to him what was happening and how we got to that point, and the speakers that were involved. And I think it was partly down to the information, because yourself, you can have somebody explain something and they got no passion, they got no warmth in their voice, they got no belief in what they're saying. and it's the words are still the same, but there's no meaning to it, and it's not because I'm trying to say I need to put in meaning, and I'm thinking, oh, I must come across this way. No, all I'm doing is just selling the idea based on how I believe, and I strongly believe in this conference. Of course, I'm the one who's built it, but it's built on basically things that I'm networking. Like, for instance, there was a guy called Dave Mannell. I spoke to him about what I want to do on the Friday night, and the Friday night was the speakers and it was the experiments. And he said, do you know what would be good? An open mic session. I thought, wow. If somebody comes up with an idea that I love and it fits the mold, and the mold has to be honest, true, with integrity, and it needs to make sense, then it goes in. If it doesn't, if it's like, for instance, I won't say any names, but somebody come up with an idea about maybe giving the speakers a gift, and I said, no, I'm not doing that, because that means that not only have I got to source that gift and I've got to then present it, but that means that cost for that gift has to come out of the ticket price, and I'm not prepared to do that because it has to have value, and that doesn't have value. So it has to feel right. And I think what happens is that if you believe in your product, you've got a lot better chance of promoting it to somebody else than if you don't believe in it.
Sure. It's almost a shame that you're organising it because you won't be able to muster along as a watcher.
Well, one thing I will say to you, Nathan, that's a good point, is I've actually got some silliness to include within the actual event. I've got some little surprises that are just tongue-in-cheek, and it's just literally to add a little bit of fun. So where, for instance, the Saturday, and I would explain to you in a second if you ask, if you want to know, but I'll give you an idea of what's going to happen on the Saturday. I'll explain to you what's going to happen on the Sunday, and they're totally different. But within that, I'm actually going to inject a little bit of silliness and a little bit of humour to try and, not just go down this pure conference route. It's not. It's actually a conference with I like to think, with fun. And I have spoken to a few people that are going to be helping me to organise the event, and I've not told them some of these little surprises because I want them to have some surprises at the event themselves, whereas they're going to see everything, 95%. And the only person who's really not going to have any surprises is me. However, I think I am, because when I see how people engage with the speakers and how the speakers engage with each other and how people respond to what they're seeing, that's going to be my surprise. So yes, I won't have a surprise from the event as in I know what's going to go on, but I'm going to have it in different ways. I'm going to have it in bucket loads. But I want even the people that are helping me, I want them to have some surprises there as well. So I'm keeping a lot of things close to my chest, not things that are, they're very secretive in the sense that a little bit of fun that I'm adding to the pot, really.
I think I really like the idea of the open mic, because this subject, more than any, is one where the shyest of people are compelled to want to talk, and that's just the kind of sort of intimate setting where somebody who's possibly not wanting to broadcast out on YouTube to the great and washed en masse, but they would want to talk to like-minded people, they are going to seize that mic and say, I just wanted to tell you about this little idea I had for an experiment. Can you all just, and they will get their round of applause at the end, and they will get the kudos that they deserve, because they'll be in a room full of like-minded people, we hope.
No, I agree. See, I didn't come up with the idea. Like I said, it was Dave Mannell, and when he said it, I just thought, this is brilliant. I love it, because it adds a little bit more value to the Friday night, but it's not just the conference, it's the whole concept. Like you said about this person who's going to be on there. A lot of people don't want to put anything out online because of like I didn't with my Facebook. I didn't want to be in the face of my friends and family. I'm not a secret, but I don't go out of my way to put it in their face. Whereas my Facebook group, the Facebook profile I have now for Flat Earth is purely for that reason. So I don't engage with people's birthdays. I don't engage in small talk because it has to be, I'll be friendly, but it has a particular job to do. But I think this open mic idea is incredible. But off the back of that, with the speakers being there and also the experiments, the Friday night, which is in addition, don't forget, to the normal weekend, I just thought, wow, when it came up. And the reason, I just want to explain quickly, Nathan, the reason why I came up with this. The hotel I'm going to, I've got a maximum of 275 people. Now, you've got to bear in mind with the speakers and the core team to help, I've only really got about 250 that I can actually sell tickets for, because there's going to be some people like Robbie Davidson, for instance, now saying that he wants to come over. Now, all of a sudden, that's another place that's gone.
Oh, wow.
So I can't go any more than 250 because I've got my hands tied. Now, I've tried to go to other places like the Hilton Hotel. They wanted, I think it was, I I try to remember the figures now. I think it was something like £6,000 for the weekend for tea and coffee. Just tea and coffee. Oh my God, you imagine having sugar. I mean, that's going to be another £2,000. So I tried, and a lot of people have been experts trying to say, oh, you should go to the hotel. You should try this. You should try and have a bigger event. Sounds great. You try doing it. Don't forget, I've made 20 phone calls to hotels. I've been in touch with this hotel 86 times and loads of emails just to get to this point. I didn't go to simply chuck it in the bin and go to another hotel to try and get a venue that can take 350. Sounds lovely. You try doing it. It's not. And the cost is incredible. Whether this hotel is not perfect, but the value for money, I'm really happy with it. But basically, the event is actually going to have different structures. The Friday night is different. And the reason for the Friday night is that I needed to try and increase numbers. And I couldn't increase it on the day for Saturday and Sunday. I thought, hold a minute, Mark Sargent's coming over. He's already going to be flying in. Why don't I actually build an event around that? But it started with being Mark Sargent. It then became Mark Sargent and the experiments, and now it became the open mic. Now all of a sudden, that's a standalone event on the Friday night, in addition to the weekend. Saturday, I just want to explain this. Saturday is literally every speaker will have a chance to do their presentation. But within that presentation, I'm going to have a questions and answers, because there's a lot of people, like for instance, Dale and Mark and John the Morgar, that do their videos. But people, apart from just typing their questions, it's hard to engage. So I'm making sure that the question and answers in there. Like, for instance, Dell, an example, will probably want to do 30 minutes of question and answers if it's on a 40-minute session, whereas the likes of Mark Sargent may want to present for 30 minutes, and then there'll be a 10-minute question and answer. But every single speaker, my goal is for them to have a questions and answers section. Not for them mainly, it's to do with it for the audience. Sunday, this is something that's really exciting, and I love this, is it was going to be a support to the Saturday, but I've changed it to there's going to be a debate between the speakers that where people have got different models on like what they believe in. There's differences and nuances between fractions of different speakers. There's going to be an element of, and if it's not a question of debate, it could even be a brainstorming session about, is it a pizza map? Is it Pac-Man? Is it the square map? So that is going to be worked on, but that is something I'm really keen on. And the thing is,
there going to be a cage that you put them in? And
well, could do, but we also need to have some raw eggs and maybe some eggs that have gone off, so we can obviously all dodgy tomatoes or whatever. But the thing is,
no sooner as you've got the conference together,
different.
You're setting them against each other.
Yeah. The thing is, if you just think for 2 seconds about how Friday is so different to the Saturday and how Saturday is so different to the Sunday, but the one thing that it's only been mentioned on Sun and Moon, but there's an addition to this is on the Saturday night. I'm depending on numbers. It's only going to be the higher of the room, but basically it's going to be a Flat Earth Got Talent evening. I don't know. I know it sounds a bit corny, but this is the part of the fun that I want to introduce. So basically, like that's Adele and Darren Nesbit who can sing and play the guitar. You've got John the Morgar is going to bring his guitar. Basically, anyone in the audience and the speakers can just have a sing song and just have a laugh. And Mark and Liedtke is going to do comedy. So that's in addition to the weekend. I'd like to think it's going to be action packed from the Friday night right round to the Sunday, and then people need the Monday off to rest.
Cool. If I'd like to just talk a little bit, if you're good with that, about this meeting that's coming up on Saturday. But before we do,
sure.
Can you round out by telling us exactly who's going to be? We'll go through the who, what, where, why, when. So who's going to be there first of all?
As I said to you earlier, Robbie Davison. He's not actually speaking, but he's in the support. Who knows? He may actually become a speaker. If we go by country, in America, we have Mark Sargent and John the Morgar. Spain, we have Oliver Ibáñez Ludlow. In Holland, we have Mike Cavanaugh. And in the UK, I took it from the top to the bottom so I don't forget anyone. We have Dale from Beyond the Imaginary Curve. We have Darren Nesbit. We have Martin Liedtke. We have Dave Marsh. And we have allegedly Dave and Sean Connors. I think that's it. And to be fair, I think that's pretty international.
It's an absolutely awesome lineup. So that's the who. So on to the where. Where will it be?
Central Birmingham, Broad Street. And when, so that's your next question, is the 27th, the 28th, and the 29th of April. Now, we'll just add, it was going to be the week before, but because I I'd like to think that I'm going to run the London Marathon, I put it back a week. I spoke to the hotel, I spoke to the speakers, and it's also partly down to the fact that people get paid at the end of the month, so that may be a bit easier for them. And also, if there are anyone doing camping, which I don't actually think is a good idea now because it's too far out, being in central Birmingham, if people did do camping, another week the weather be a bit better. So that's the reason for why it's the end of the month and not the week before.
And what are the exact dates? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the what of what?
27th of April, 28th of April, and the 29th of April. And just so you know time as well, is that the Friday is probably going to be 7 to 11 or 10:30 to 11. Registration is going to be about 6:15. Saturday, the start is 10:30 because some people are going to be commuting just for the Saturday or the weekends. So that's starting at 10:30 and going on to about 6 o'clock, 6:30. The evening will develop based on the people that are wanting to take part, and I think that'd be good fun. And the Sunday is going to start slightly earlier at 10 o'clock, and it's going to finish at 3-ish, with probably people rounding up and finishing off, chatting before they leave, because people are going to obviously, they've got to get home ready for work the next day. They've also got children that they have to obviously get ready for school. So I'm making the Saturday session slightly longer than the Sunday to try and help people who need to get away.
Cool. Thank you very much. So this coming Saturday, which is the 22nd of July 2017, we've got a meetup in Leamington Spa at Jefferson Park Gardens midday. Do you think you might be able to attend to that? Are you going to be popping your way down or not?
I'm definitely going to be there to see you, Patricia Steer and Martin Liedtke, and there's a few other people that are in Sun and Moon and other people that I know attending. Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to it. I can't get there, unfortunately, till 2 because I've got another picnic in the morning, but I will be there. And basically, some of us are going to carry on into the afternoon and evening if it ends early, because we want to make the most of being there and go to the pub and have a meal and a chit chat and chew the fat and put the world to rights.
Perfect. So anybody who's hesitant about either the 2018 conference or about just meeting up people in general, come along, attend in Leamington Spa on this Saturday, and you'll get to meet with Gary John and discuss anything you want to about the conference, the tickets, the what's going to happen, the where, the why, the who, the when, all of that good stuff with him in Leamington Spa. Obviously, Patricia Steer, myself, Martin also will be in Leamington, so come one, come all for that. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much our show. Was there anything else you wanted to add, Gary, before we close up this?
I just like to say thank you very much for you for actually affording me your time to actually do this interview, because I think that every interview and the website will hopefully help people to see what this is about. And it's obviously going to raise a lot of questions, and I've got no problems. It's an open door policy, but I'd just like to say thank you to you for doing this morning.
It's an absolute pleasure. It's been really good that you've actually arranged this. So I will round out there. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Gary John. We will all see you in 2018. I've been Nathan Oakley. Make sure to share, like, subscribe, comment below, and I'll see you all in the next video.